Hi, my name is Paula Cortez, and I'll be talking to you guys about the movie Clueless. So, the movie Clueless had a bunch of different things I could have talked about. However, I decided to focus just on the main character of the movie, which her name was Cher. So, she was basically a rich, popular, and self centered high school girl. She lived in a mansion with just her father, whom was a lawyer and always kept busy, so she practically did as she pleased with her life. She considered herself a normal teenager, but in reality she really wasn't. She was just a spoiled brat who every morning would pick out her clothes by using a tablet in which it controlled her closet. So this tablet would basically tell the closet to pick out the clothes that she wanted and bring them to her. All she had to do was just grab the clothes and put them on. All her clothes were from expensive brands from famous clothing stores, and she also had a brand new Jeep and drove it just by having her permit. She had no driving skills at all. However, apart from obtaining everything she wanted at home, it was the same situation at school, just with her grades. So overall, she manipulated and deceived people to obtain what she wanted. One of the interpersonal communication concepts that I wanted to mention in my paper and my presentation is her lack of listening skills. So she had horrible listening skills. As they were demonstrated in the movie, I chose three. Um, the first one is that at the beginning of the movie, as she had her father's orange juice ready, he kept expressing he did not want it. However, she kept persisting. So she basically ignored and blocked out her father's wishes. The second example that I chose was when she would approach her professors asking them why she had received the grade she did for the class. She would ignore and zone out what the professors were saying as they were explaining to her. As she was zoning out, she was basically thinking of a plot and different ways that she could achieve the grade she wants. And third example, which is similar to the ones with the professors, just with her best friend, was when every time her best friend was expressing her frustration with the issue she was having with her boyfriend, Cherry, instead of listening to her, she zoned out in her own thoughts. So throughout the whole movie, Cherry's lack of listenings were demonstrated. Basically, since she only cared about herself, it influenced her actions and her listening skills being part of it. Another interpersonal communication concept is nonverbal cues. In other words, nonverbal behaviors. So, Cher's nonverbal behaviors were demonstrated through her body, which reflected her soul. So, what do I mean by that? It means that her facial expressions and body behavior in specific situations basically reflected what she believed in and thought. And most of the time, they're more negative than positive. For example, in one of the scenarios was at the end of the movie when she walked in the house where her friend and her stepbrother were at. She was asked if she had passed her driver's test, and fronting and with a sad expression on her face, she answered she had not. Also, another example is when her dad would ask her why her grades were horrible. As a result, she would just pout and demonstrate she was frustrated. And another example is when, as she was laying down with her potential boyfriend she could have had, her nonverbal behavior then was that she initiated by rubbing her leg against his, only instigating her desire to obtain sexual intercourse with the guy. And the last example I provided was that as soon as Cher realized her feelings towards her friend Josh, she began to act awkward and different around him. So her body language was just tenseful and uncomfortable. And finally, the last concept that I wanted to mention is the deception theory, which, in my opinion, this interpersonal communication concept is what is the one that is mostly portrayed throughout the movie. So I say that it was mostly portrayed in the movie because Cher basically ran her life by deceiving people. And that's how she achieved what she always wanted. So she deceived her friends, her family, and her professors. So in other words, basically everyone. She deceived everyone. Example number one of her deception was that due to her thought process of achieving what she wanted, she would manipulate and persuade her professors to change her grades with a lie. So she actually did lie to a couple of her professors, and one of the examples was that she lied to her teacher regarding why she could not complete some of the requirements for the class, and she actually persuaded that teacher to change the grade to a better grade. However, she did encounter one difficulty where she could not convince two of her professors to change her grades. So what she did was that she analyzed those two professors and realized that they were bitter because of their loneliness in life. So they did not have a partner. So what she did was that she deceived her both professors to think they were into each other, so they will become happy and change her grade. The second example is Cher became friends with the new girl at the high school. However, the only reason why she did so was because she wanted to give others a positive perception of her. So basically, she deceived the new girl into thinking that she was her friend, when in reality, she was also talking bad about her friends. She was also talking bad about her behind her back. So she was really not being her friend. So usually, deception mostly brings consequences. However, in her life, she would always get away with her deception, so no one ever noticed her deceiving ways. So what did I learn from analyzing this specific movie is that, well, first of all, I got to have a more specific example to base my perspective of poor listening skills, nonverbal behaviors, and deception. Also, the movie was released in around 1990s, so a decade ago. And I just found it interesting how a decade ago, the same interpersonal communication struggles one might encounter today, people encountered them then. So it really doesn't matter um, the time era. It, like everyone struggles with the same interpersonal communication concepts. So overall, one should be able to realize and notice our flaws and basically try to improve them. The end. And this picture that I showed is basically describes Cher's personality: spoiled and a brat. Thank you.